In Japan, the nuclear disaster associated with the Fukushima Daiichi accident continues to unfold. Lies and concealment of the real facts of this disaster have become the norm for Japan over the past 2 years or more. The Japanese authorities have started lying as soon as they stated that nothing terrible happened and immediately evicted people beyond the 8-kilometer zone, and then beyond the 20-kilometer zone. As the world press has recently reported, citing the Japanese Tokyo Electric Power (TEPCO), the protective barrier at the Fukushima Daiichi technical port is no longer capable of handling radioactive water leakages into the ocean. The level of contaminated groundwater under the territory of the nuclear power plant is now already 60 centimeters above the protective barriers that have been erected along the entire port shoreline. Simply put, radioactive water is simply pouring into the ocean. Experts estimate that about 300 tons a day are pouring into the ocean. TEPCO first admitted to leaking radioactive water from the Fukushima Daiichi site into the Pacific Ocean at the end of July. The Japanese government instructed the nuclear power plant operator to take urgent measures to prevent radioactive water leaks. According to experts, at least 20,000 tons of dirty water has accumulated in the drainage system of the nuclear plant. As of March 2013, more than 360,000 tons of water with varying degrees of contamination had accumulated in the basements of the power units, in the drainage system, and in special tanks on the territory of the nuclear power plant. According to measurements in one of the drainage tunnels, the level of radioactive cesium in the water reaches 2.35 billion becquerels per liter of liquid, while the international standard is 150 becquerels. According to TEPCO experts, water from the Fukushima drainage tunnels is constantly leaking through cracks and into groundwater, replenishing it with large amounts of radioactive substances. For more than 2 years, the Japanese, whom our westernized intelligentsia thought to be a super-technological nation, have been fouling the world's oceans. Simply put, the truth is that the Japanese pour water over the unrepaired reactor ruins. The water receives a huge radiation charge and pours into the ocean. And this water has been pouring in since the beginning of the disaster. From the very beginning, the Japanese did not solve the problem the way they should to eliminate the accident, i.e. to build huge burial sites of various degrees of protection, to attract a lot of equipment and people who are certainly doomed to receive a certain dose of radiation, and to clean up the territory. The Japanese chose the second option, to create external activity while doing almost nothing realistically. While radioactive water was pouring into the sea by the hundreds of tons, the Japanese talked about the heroic struggle with the consequences of the accident. By all appearances, this will continue. Is it dangerous? Given the vastness of the Pacific Ocean, the danger is minimal. True, it doesn't mean that anyone can get into the statistics of accidents. For example, about 2 years after the accident, a TEPCO operator caught a fish, sea bass, that had 254,000 becquerels per kilogram of weight in it, 2,500 times the Japanese radiation standards. The insignificance of the accident for the entire planet, and it can withstand more than a dozen Hiroshima and Fukushima, does not cancel Japan's responsibility for polluting the ocean and withholding information from its own population and all mankind. The Japanese authorities have been hiding the truth about the accident from the world community for more than 2 years. Lulling people with words about construction of cooling systems, barriers, etc. The UN and the IAEA are helping them to do this. Considering how the international community criticized Moscow for Chernobyl, even though they really struggled with the accident, the situation looks even more sordid. This is an example of double standards. Japan, as an ally of the West, the United States, is being covered up. For 2 years, radioactive water from the Fukushima 1 nuclear power plant has been pouring into the ocean, and the management company TEPCO has only now recognized this fact. And only now have the Japanese authorities and the company itself woke up and become concerned about creating protective barriers. Although there have been alarming data before. Already in 2011, a report by a research team from Stanford University and the School of Marine and Atmospheric Research at Stony Brook University, New York State, reported that the leakage of radionuclides into the ocean is a concern both locally and globally. The report reported that radioactive elements were found in Pacific bluefin tuna, which are common throughout the North Pacific Ocean. Scientists found elevated levels of cesium-134 and cesium-137 in tuna caught off the California coast. Researchers noted that other large animals using waters around Japan could bring radionuclides into areas of the North and South Pacific. In addition, U.S. scientists noted elevated levels of beta radiation in the air on the Pacific coast of the United States. Researchers Joe Mangano and Jeanette Sherman found radioactive fallout, including radioactive iodine, particularly affecting 5 American states. Just days after the nuclear accident, the concentration of iodine-131 deposited in the United States was 211 times the global norm. The website of the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency reported that in June 2013, Japan's TEPCO acknowledged the presence of highly radioactive strontium-90, a fission product of uranium and plutonium, in the groundwater under the damaged reactor. Tritium was also found in the water. But then Toshihiko Fukuda, the general manager of the Japanese company, said that the contaminated water with strontium-90 did not get into the ocean. According to Japan Today national newspaper, between the end of 2012 and May 2013, strontium-90 levels in groundwater near reactor number 2 turbine increased more than 100-fold, from 8.6 becquerels to 1,000 units per liter of water. The maximum allowable level is 30 becquerels. Tritium levels in the water were also found to be in excess of 500,000 becquerels per liter. The situation around Fukushima itself revealed several important facts. First, the Japanese are no more technologically advanced than any other nation. Second, it was not only in the Soviet Union, remembering the Chernobyl tragedy, but also in the highly developed East and West, who preferred to hide the truth. The Japanese authorities, management company representatives, UN, who and IAEA officials lied and continue to lie. Moreover, in the USSR they really struggled with the problem, but in Japan they preferred to keep it quiet. Subscribe to the channel and share this video with your friends. Give it a thumbs up. Tell us interesting facts you know about the topic of this video. See you in new videos.